Let's see. Okay. So at the airport, the first part of your journey, well, it starts at home, getting ready, of course, but once you're at the airport, the first contact you will have, you're going to be landside. And the first contact is the check-in counter or the check-in desk. Sometimes, such as in London Heathrow, you've got a self-service kiosk. All these words are correct. They are to express this part of the airport where you show your travel documents, the passport, maybe the visa, the e-ticket, one-way ticket or return ticket. Remember that return means both ways. And that's quite useful for you to know, especially if you want to buy a train ticket or a bus ticket once in the UK. So it's one way or return. And this is also where you check your luggage or your suitcases, your baggage. Again, many words to describe the same thing. And checking your luggage doesn't mean controlling or, check it as a security. That will happen next. To check your luggage means to send the baggage to the plane. And you will be given a boarding pass or boarding card. You can name it as you like. Either will take you on board. So the next step is airport security, and you get through security, you show your hand baggage, and now, yes, you're airside. So landside before security and airside after security. You're closer to the planes now. So you've got the duty-free area and all the screens with the information, very useful information that you have to keep on checking. I think, please remember to mute your mics because otherwise there's going to be an echo. So here you can check the gate, if the plane is ready for boarding, if there is any kind of delay, or if it has been cancelled. So it's very useful for you to check those screens and remember the gate because that's the place you have to head to. So now you are on board and you will be welcomed by the cabin crew. Probably the first public announcement that you will hear will be something like this. Let's see if you can listen to it. Okay, so after being welcomed by our cabin crew, we are on board. So once on board, you can have an aisle seat, a middle seat, or a window seat. If you have any seat preference, then you should ask that at the check-in counter right at the beginning of your journey or when you make the booking as well. Then you sit down and you fasten or unfasten your seatbelts. And you can place all your personal belongings under the seat in front of you or on top of you on the overhead lockers or the overhead bins or the overhead compartments. Again, different ways to name the same thing. So the overhead locker. And you've got the cabin crew there. You see in the picture a cabin crew closing the overhead lockers. In the UK, we call them cabin crew. In the United States, they name them flight attendants. But flight attendant, cabin crew, even steward or stewardess, still, they're also words that you can use. You've got the galley. The galley is the place where the cabin crew gather and get the meals ready and they do all the paperwork. You've got the toilet or the lavatory, the emergency exit, and sometimes these seats have got extra leg room. So if you are quite tall, unfortunately that's not my case, you want to ask for one of those seats and you will be a little bit more comfortable. You've got your tray table where you are going to eat your meal or use your laptop if you have one. But that tray table has to be folded for takeoff or landing. And you've got the plane there. You take off or you land. On board and as well, I mean, I think this is quite useful throughout the journey. it's quite useful for you to practice modal verbs before traveling. Modal verbs are verbs that add meaning to the verb, and they are very much used to express possibility or ability, permission, obligation. So, for example, useful expressions on board. Can. Can I change my seat after takeoff if you're not happy with your seat? And can is the most informal of the ways. Could. Could you help me with my hand baggage, please? Like in the photograph, we are getting a little bit more formal. Could is more formal than can. May. May I have some water, please? And then should and shouldn't for prohibition. Yes, something that you have or you can't do. You should remain seated with the seatbelt sign when the seatbelt sign is on. Obligation. And then a stronger obligation, must or mustn't, prohibition. You mustn't smoke on board or else you can be fined. So must or mustn't for strong prohibition. But now we have safely landed in Heathrow at Heathrow Airport, and we have to walk through border control or immigration, passport control, again, many ways to name the same thing. And this is where you have to remember your W8 questions. Once you get off the plane, just follow the signs, have your passport ready, and relax. You're going to be asked a few questions like WH questions. WH questions are questions that require more information rather than yes or no. Like who, where, for example, where are you staying? Whose, what is the purpose of your trip, for example? Sorry, I can't see the presentation anymore, Emilia. I don't know whether...
I've noticed that. I will share it again. Sorry.
Okay. We apologize for that. You know, technical issues always happen everywhere. But I was mentioning the WH questions, which are quite useful when you travel, because you will be asked questions at the airport, at the hotel, on board. And remember that these questions require more information. Do I take control, Emilia, of the presentation?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Yes.
Okay. So here are the questions. So what is the purpose of your visit? How long are you planning to stay in the UK? When are you going back? When is your return ticket? So they're quite useful. We're going to show you a very short video from the movie The Terminal, and you'll see all these WH or some of these WH questions. Let's see. Hold on a second. Okay, so let's continue then. So you have gone through immigrations, you have answered all your WH questions, and now you are ready either to exit or to connect your flight in case London is not your final destination. If you've got another flight to catch, then you have to follow the signs towards flight connections. Otherwise, if you're going to London, you just head towards baggage reclaim or baggage claim. Again, both are correct. Towards arrivals and the exit, of course. You've got the trains, the underground or the tube, the different terminals, the airport information, car rental, etc. But you're ready to exit the airport now. So before you meet Jean, and she will walk you around beautiful London, let's have a very quick quiz. And you can write your answers in the chat box if you wish to. So let's see. There's a photograph of the airport over there. And when you arrive at the airport, you go straight to the, but you have to mute your mics. Yes, just write the answers at the chat box. Okay, good. Let's see. We've got some answers here. Yes, so good, you go to the check-in counter, the check-in desk, all of them are correct. Yes, I'm reading many answers here. Check-in counter, check-in desk, check-in kiosk if it's at Heathrow. Good. Once there, you show your and check your. Remember that check doesn't mean to control, but to send. Let's see the answers. You're good, your passports, great, or your travel documents, good. And you check your, so once there, you show good, your luggage, your baggage, your suitcases, your cases, all of them are correct. So once there, you show your passport or your travel documents and check your baggage or luggage, good. Then you go through security and get airside. Don't get too excited, as I said before, at the duty-free area, because you will soon need to go to the, and you've got B15 there. Good, the gate. Good, well done. Well done, everyone. Good, great. To the gate. So now we are ready to board. What kind of seat have you got? Remember, there were 3 kinds of seats in economy, at least. So which are the 3 kinds of seats that you can have? Which are your favorite seats? Let's see the chat box. Good, aisle, middle, and window seat. Yes, an aisle, if you want to walk a lot, you know, to go to the galley or to the toilet, the middle seat, and the window seat. Great, well done. Well, here are some of the possible answers, but again, more than one answer could be correct. So let's continue. Now we are on board. Our lovely cabin crew has welcomed us already. So you put the handbag in the or under the seat in front of you. So the bigger personal belongings, overhead compartment, good, overhead locker, good. There are many answers here, right. Then you sit down. So fasten your seatbelt, sit back, relax, and enjoy your flight. The plane is ready for, remember, the plane is ready for takeoff. Good, good, Gonzalo, Manuel, good. For takeoff, good. For departing as well, for takeoff, good. We'll continue with the meal service once turbulence, no, sorry, I made my mistake, once more. Don't worry if it gets bumpy, turbulence is normal, but keep your fastened. What do you have to keep fastened? The seat belts, right, good. So keep your seat belts fastened. Once, we'll continue with the meal service once turbulence is over. So you can see a photograph here. Good, the cabin crew, yes, the stewardess in this case, or the flight attendant, the cabin crew, that would be the British term. Okay, you have the answers there. Let's continue. And now, yes, you have arrived in London. So welcome to London. You have safely at Heathrow Airport. Remember, you take off or the opposite of taking off. Landed, good. You could also say arrived at Heathrow Airport, but landed is fine. There are 2 signs you might follow. Flight, if you have another flight to catch, or baggage. So let's see your answers. Good, baggage claim, right, baggage reclaim as well. Good, if that's your final destination. Good, remember to mute your mic. Good. So here are the answers. Again, possible answers. And here are some useful links for you. Useful topics to revise before traveling, verb tenses, so you don't get mixed up with the past, the present perfect, or the future. WH questions, because again, you will be asked many questions throughout your trip, especially now in pandemic, I guess, and modal verbs. So you can request things in a polite way, and you can understand when something is a prohibition or an obligation, something that you should do. And here are some useful links. Again, this presentation will be sent to you, so don't worry if you can't jot down the links, but they're quite useful. One is from Cambridge and the other one is from the BBC, with very entertaining, very short exercises for you to continue practicing. So, having said so, now you can meet Jean at London. So thank you very much, and let's continue with Jean.
Hello, thank you very much, Amalia. I'm very glad that you've brought everyone safely over to London for us. I'm here in central London where I live, and we would love to welcome you all to London once the world is open again and everybody can travel. Now, I don't know how many of you have been to London. I'm sure some of you have. It's lovely to see people from all over the world. So let's have a little look here and see what you can see about London. So we'll have a look at different ways to get around. Could I have the control, please? Amelia? Could you give me...
Yes, of course. Just,
yeah, thank you.
Just take control, yes.
Yep. The take control, yeah, it isn't coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't see it at all. I can just see the guests now.
Okay.
I think that you might need to upload the presentation again. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Apologize again to everyone.
Sorry, just a little technical difficulty. I'll be with you very soon. And while we're waiting, please think about any places that you know in London. We're going to have a look at these in a minute. As soon as it's uploaded, then I will take control. Okay. Amelia?
Jean, can you see the presentation now?
I can see it, but I don't have any way of taking control of it. Maybe if you would like to just if you could just change the slides, then that would be fine. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yes, obviously.
We'll do it like that. So, as I say, we're going to have a look at London. Now, this is a very famous saying about London. Maybe you've heard it. It was written by Samuel Johnson hundreds of years ago. The expression is, the saying is, when a man is tired of London, and of course it means a woman too, he is tired of. Fantastic. And you're writing in the chat box, life, which is the correct answer. And that means that in London, there are so many things to do, you will never get tired of being in London. And that's true for me. It's my home city and I'm never tired of London. Okay, thank you. Now, we're going to have a look at some of the famous sites that we have here in London. And again, please, we can't agree more, that's fantastic. Have a look at some of these famous sites and see if you know the names of them. Just have a little look and write the names in the chat box. There are 3 on this slide. That's great. So the first picture is the London Eye, probably the most famous site in London at the moment. You get a fantastic view from the top of that. And the next picture, of course, is, as you're saying, Piccadilly Circus. This is in the centre of the shopping and entertainment area in London. Piccadilly Circus, it's a very busy area with lots of things to see and do as well. Then the third picture, do you know where this is? Buckingham Palace is the name of this picture. Do you know who lives in Buckingham Palace? Of course, it's where the Queen lives. That's where the Queen lives when she's in London. She has lots of homes. Okay, that's 3 pictures, a few more for you now. Do you know where the first picture is? Which park is this? Any idea? Please type your answers in the chat box if you know. This one is actually Regent's Park. This is a little lake which is very near the university. And as you can see, in the summer, it's a wonderful area to sit and sunbathe. The next picture, anybody know the next picture? That's Trafalgar Square, where again, it's very near the centre of London, close to Piccadilly Circus. And then at the back of Trafalgar Square, that's where the National Gallery is, where you can see paintings from all over the world, beautiful paintings. And then the third one, this is a street market. If you've been to London, maybe you recognise this. If so, please type the answer in the chat box. This is just very near where I live. I'm 5 minutes away from this market. And the name of the market, any ideas? Okay, I'll tell you this one. This is Camden Market. It's one of the biggest markets in the UK, in London, in the UK, and you can buy all kinds of fashionable clothing and things for your bedrooms, your home, etc., etc. And the next picture, of course, is probably the most famous clock in the UK. This is Big Ben, and just underneath Big Ben are the Houses of Parliament where the government conducts its business. So these are some of the places that you can see when you come to London. Now, very important when you come to London, there are lots of different ways of travelling around London. Some of them are fast, some of them are slow, and we're going to have a look at the ways you can travel. So train is a very useful way of travelling, very quick and convenient. We have 2 different types of train. So first, does anyone know what these types of trains are? One is beneath the ground and one is above the ground. Any idea? If you know, please type the names in the chat box. Okay, well, the first picture, the one that's beneath the ground, is called the underground, and we also call it the tube. It's much more common to call it the tube, and it's very, very fast to travel on because you don't get stuck in any traffic jams, of course. Train as well is a good way of travelling, but it doesn't go into central London. It goes around London in zones 2, 3, 4, 5. You can go into central London, but only with a few stations. And this is overground. So you've got underground and overground. Okay, thank you very much. Bus is another very, very popular way to travel, very convenient way to travel. And it's a fantastic way of seeing London. You know, some of the buses, this is a typical red bus, and some of them have a lower floor and an upper floor. These buses are called, this would be called a double-decker bus. So you say by double-decker bus, you travel by double-decker bus. The other one with just one place to sit is called a single-decker bus. And the one, so the double-decker bus, you can travel on this very easily. You have a great view. If it's summer though, and you want to have an even better view, and you want some fresh air as well, we have a bus specially for tourists. And do you know the name of this one? This is called if you would like to show, an open top bus. Now for travelling is really convenient in London if you have a special travelling card, which is called an Oyster card. You pay for this at the beginning of your stay, then you don't have to keep finding your credit card or whatever. So you just pay for this and then you pay each time you go onto a bus or train. Okay, so those are some of the ways, probably you know about them. Some ways as well, if you want to travel very quickly, you can travel in this way. So one way is traveling in a very famous black type of car. Do you know the name of that one? By taxi, or we also sometimes call it by black cab. And then a more unusual way of traveling, if you live near the river, you can actually go to work in this way, but usually people use this form of transport for if you want to see the sights. It's fantastic. It's a really nice thing to do on a sunny day. And this is, we call these ones here, this would be traveling by riverboat. Okay, thank you very much. And two ways, if you want to use your own legs, two ways of traveling, we have these two ways. So the first way here, this way is a hire bike. You don't have to have your own bike. You can pay to use this bike just for 1 or 2 hours or for a whole day. And you can just take them and leave them whenever you want. And of course, the cheapest way of all, and a way that is also very good to get some exercise and to see London, is on foot, which means you're walking. So you go on foot. Okay, thank you very much. Now, let's have a look at where you catch or where you get these types of transport. Where do you catch a train from? Any ideas? Please type in the chat box if you know. Okay, you catch a train from, let's have a look. The station. You catch a train at the station. What about a bus? We don't usually use the word bus station unless it's the main one. We have another word for this one here. You catch a bus at, any ideas? A bus stop. At the bus stop. You can find bus stops all over the place in London. And where do you get a taxi from? Any ideas? Let's have a look. You get a taxi at a special area. This area is called a taxi rank. You find them in the street queues of taxis, or you can just wave at the taxi and it will stop for you in the street. Okay, and a riverboat. To get the riverboat, you have to go to the river, of course, and you go to the pier. This is where the boats stop, at the pier. And finally, where can you get one of these fantastic bikes or hire cycles? You can get them, this word is less common, but it's called a docking station. You can find these all over central London. Okay, so those are some of the ways you can travel around. Now, I'd like you to listen to the conversation and see if you can write down the new words as you hear the sentences. So, Amalia, if you would, where the gaps are, if you would like to read this one, can you read this one or shall I read it?
Definitely, yes, yes. Where can I buy an Oyster card?
You can get one at the tube station or a newsagent's.
And shall I do the next one?
Yeah, I think just do the next one and listen. If you have time, write them down. If not, don't worry. Just see how much you can hear. Fantastic.
I want to go to Camden Market. Where's the nearest bus stop?
There's one just down the road outside Piccadilly Circus station.
I like to hire a bike. Where can I find one?
There are lots of docking stations all over central London.
Where can I find a taxi?
There's a taxi rank by the London Eye, or you can stop a taxi in the street.
I'd love to go on a riverboat trip. Where do they leave from?
The nearest one is at Westminster Pier, near Big Ben. So these are all very useful little questions. Amalia gave you some questions for traveling, and these are questions that you can use when you're actually in London. Okay, now we'll read them again, and then you can hear them again. These are the answers. I hope you managed to hear some of the answers. If not, don't worry, because you can hear them now.
Where can I buy an Oyster card?
You can get one at the tube station or a newsagent's.
I want to go to Camden Market. Where's the nearest bus stop?
There's one just down the road outside Piccadilly Circus station.
I like to hire a bike. Where can I find one?
There are lots of docking stations all over central London.
Where can I find a taxi?
There's a taxi rank by the London Eye, or you can stop a taxi in the street.
I'd love to go on a riverboat trip. Where do they leave from?
The nearest one is at Westminster Pier, near Big Ben. How did you get on? I hope you managed to hear some of the words without seeing them. And you can practice with a friend before you come to London. You can practice these little dialogues together just to help you to feel more confident. Okay, thank you very much, Amelia. Okay, now let's see how much you know about London. Now, let's see, we'll give you some questions. Please type the answers, if you have the answers, in the chat box. When was the London Underground built? Any ideas? Let me just go. Okay, the chat box. Okay, I'm not seeing. That's fantastic. The chat box is coming back now. Fantastic guess, 1860, 1863. Let's have a look at the answer here. 1863. So Isis, that's fantastic. You've done a really brilliant job with that one, and others were very, very good. Good guess. Very good. And the next question. How many lines and stations are there in the London Underground? Any ideas for this one? Please do your answers in the chat box. More than I can count. Yeah, there are a lot. That's absolutely true. Thank you very much. 11 lines and 270 stations. Luckily, it's very easy to use with a very clear map. Okay, you're doing well with that. 11. How many airports does London have? Now, this one is not as obvious as it seems. Any ideas? What would you say for this one? 6. Wow, you're doing very well. 5 or 6. That's wonderful. 5, 6, 8. Now, these are actually in London. There are 6. And the names of the airport, I know the biggest one is that I'm sure you're familiar with: Heathrow, Gatwick, City Airport, Stansted, Luton, and Southend. Southend is a long way from central London, but still counts as part of London Airport. Thank you very much. Some more questions for you. What's the name of London's river? Please type that in if you know the name. Thames. Brilliant. Now, that is the name of the London River, and the pronunciation is Thames. It's strange pronunciation compared to the spelling. It's not pronounced Thames or anything like that, but Thames. So again, you can listen to this recording and practice saying that after the seminar. Okay, that's great. And the next one. Who lives at number 10 Downing Street? This is another very famous building in London. Any ideas? Wonderful. You seem to be getting the answers here. That is brilliant. The Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister at the moment is Boris Johnson. Who knows how long he will last? He's in trouble at the moment. Okay. Please could you...
Downing Street, the Queen.
The Queen lives in Buckingham Palace. The Queen lives in Buckingham Palace. Downing Street is the Prime Minister. Okay. Okay. Could you please? Okay. And the last question: where in London can you see a camel? I'm sure you don't expect to see a camel in London, but you can see a camel. Any ideas where you can see a camel? The zoo. Brilliant. That is exactly it. And the zoo is in Regent's Park, very near Regent's University. So after your lessons, if you come and study with us, you can go to see the camels, or even without going to the zoo, you can see them from outside the zoo. Okay, well, I can see you know quite a lot about London already. Now, let's have a look. And we can have a look at some different places in London. I'd like you to watch this video. This shows some of the places that we've been looking at. And just relax now. Imagine you are coming to London and see which places you would like to visit. So just write them in the chat box when you recognize them. Okay, thank you. Let me see if I can do this one. Yeah. Okay, did that, Emilia, the video seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, I think someone has taken control, to be honest.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe, Emilia, it's better if you play it yourself. Maybe
Yeah.
you can have control and play it yourself. I think that could work.
Yeah. I can do that. Just bear with me. I was logged out again, so I guess.
Okay. And in the meantime, think about the places. So some people want to go to Harrods, Parliament, Big Ben. These are all lovely places to visit. And we'll have a look at, as you can see in the video, there are different things for everybody in London. So we'll just go back to the beginning there. There are different shops you can have a look at. Okay, we're back at the video now. So Emilia, will you control this one?
I will do
Fantastic.
my best, yes.
Thanks.
With the video, some of you might need to kind of click the play button to play the video, basically. That was an amazing video, Jean. Thanks a lot for sharing that with us. I've recognized a number of different places. And I hope our participants today have also seen lots of attractions to visit in London.
My students at the moment, they love being in London, and as soon as people are able to travel again, as I'm sure you can see, there's something for everybody in London, and we hope very much that you will come and join us as soon as you can. We look forward very much to welcoming you to London.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jean and Amalia. The presentation has been really, really great, and obviously everyone misses sort of traveling and going to various places. London is one of the places, and our English Language Centre is open, so we have students on campus, and it would be great to see some of you coming and studying English with us. But as of today, I would really like to thank Amalia and Jean for presenting and giving us the little snippets of sort of their teaching methods and their style, and bringing London live during this presentation. So thank you so much. The contact details for Amalia can be found here. So if you have any questions, if you, for example, from Argentina and you're thinking of coming to London to study with Regents, you can always get in touch with Amalia and Silvina. From Regents, I would like to tell you that we are organizing an open virtual open day next week. During the open day, you can learn more information about the courses we offer, where we are. So I encourage you to participate in the open day, which is, as I said, next week. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll be sharing the presentation, the slides, and the recording with you later this week. And if not, then probably early next week. Let us know if you have any questions. I see lots of thank you for the participation. It's been great seeing so many of you joining us today. Thank you so much, and I will let you know when our next webinar is. Thank you, Jean, and thank you, Amalia. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Amalia, as well. Thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
Lovely to see you all. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.